Hi again then guys, and welcome to another specific car review for Forza Motorsport 7, and this time we're looking at a car which certainly has its fans. It's a very expensive supercar, I would say. I wouldn't really call it a hypercar, it doesn't deserve that as far as I'm concerned. And this is a car which, to be completely honest, I do have some trouble with, because not only is it very expensive, but I can't look at this car without thinking that it's kind of an Aventador in a party dress. The car is, of course, the Lamborghini Veneno, built as another one of Lamborghini's anniversary cars in a similar way to the Centenario, and the car has good numbers. It's not an underwhelming car at all. 740 horsepower is certainly not lacking. It's also got 508 pound-feet of torque, and the weight is not bad. It weighs 1,460 kilos stock, which for a well-equipped, all-wheel drive, Audi tech Lamborghini, that's pretty good. The class itself is pretty high as well. It's an R-Class 845 PI vehicle, but the price. Now, on Forza 7, most of the cars don't cost anywhere near as much as they have done in the past. This is one of those. Were this car on, for instance, say Forza 4 or Forza 5, I can't recall if it was on there or not, but certainly as far back as Forza 4, when I don't believe the car was released yet, if it were on that game, this would be easily a 3, 4, 5 million credit vehicle. Now, it's not. It's 1.5 million, which sounds better, but really, it's not, because that's the exact same price as literally the Renault RS17 Formula 1 car, which is the fastest car in the game, by far, around the track. So, to put it on that same kind of level is kind of ridiculous, if we're honest. Now, of course, you've got to look at the car through the lens of stuff like the Zenvo or the Lycan Hypersport. Of course, it is that kind of car, in a similar way again to the Centenario. But at the same time, looking at it objectively, putting whether or not you like the car to one side and just focusing on value for money, from primarily a performance and bang for buck point of view, well, it's not bad. Not at all. In fact, it's very fast. It's a supercar, so it's fast by definition. But is it as good as that price would suggest? I would say no, because, put simply, there are far faster cars for a far lower price. Your Noble M600s, your Ultima GTRs, your Nissan GTRs even, can absolutely demolish this car, even in its fully tuned form. Now, speaking of that fully tuned form, this is also another slight issue that I have with the vehicle, and it doesn't kill the car. I'm not saying that this is a bad vehicle, and I'm not even hating on it. It probably sounds that I am, but I'm not at all. I'm just speaking frankly about it. But when you fully tune this thing, and you're running around 1100 horsepower, which again sounds great on paper, the reality is you actually struggle to pass 250 miles per hour. Now, on most tracks, that's not bad. But let's face it, an 1100 horsepower Lambo in real life would be going a lot quicker than 250. In fact, there have been tuned Lambos in real life, not even Aventador based ones, but stuff like Gallardos even, can go way beyond 250, even over a standing mile, let alone flat out. So the performance on this car doesn't really meet the kind of expectations which I would want it to be able to hit, especially when Forza themselves have kind of set a precedent of these big V12 Lamborghinis having great numbers. Just look at Horizon 3, for instance. The LP670 SV, one of the most powerful cars in the game. The Centenario, even, on that game, one of the most powerful. In fact, if memory serves, the most powerful car in the game, 1,559 horsepower. The Aventador engine, you guys know, I put it in basically every car in the game if it can have it. Over 1,500 horsepower. This one, 1,100. And the difference is, all of those cars on Horizon 3, which granted isn't quite as realistic, of course, as the motorsport games, but Horizon 3 is the closest to a motorsport game that we've ever had, and even so, they're a good 20 to 25 miles per hour quicker than this one. That's not that impressive, to be fair. Now, of course, this car has a big rear wing, it's got aerodynamics which aren't exactly conducive to top-end speed, it's got a very prototype-level influence to its design, and that's all well and good. But to be fair, so does an Ultima GTR, and look how fast that is. So at the end of the day, the car has people who will forgive it and excuse it for how underwhelming its performance actually is, which is fair enough. Of course, if you love a car, you're going to do that. That's the nature of fandom. And I'm not at all saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that if you buy this car, in a similar way to I am with the Zenvo, I love the Zenvo ST1. Is it the best supercar in the game, especially for its power and price? No, and I will be the first one to admit that. It's not very good in terms of how fast it is compared to how much power it's got, because at the end of the day, it's not designed to be, even though you'd probably assume that it would be trying to take on a Veyron. But the simple fact is, it's not. So, because I love the car, I can overlook that. And that's the point I'm making with the Veneno. If you love this car, and your love for it dictates that you don't actually care how good or bad it may be, you just like it, I can totally understand that. That's the way I am with the Zenvo. If that's the case, you won't be disappointed. You should definitely buy the car, because it is fast, of course. 250 isn't slow, it's just slower than I would have hoped. But to people who, like myself, are not super fans of the Veneno, have measured expectations at the very least, and if you really must buy a Lamborghini, you would be better off in terms of value for money going for something like an Aventador or an Aventador SV, or even some other Lamborghini entirely like a Sesto Elemento, which really does have that incredible track performance. So overall, this is not a disappointing car, because I don't love it enough for it to be a disappointment to me. It's just a car which could very easily be a disappointment to somebody who's expecting too much of it. Because of course, this is kind of the Lamborghini. It's the La Lamborghini, in effect, like the La Ferrari. And as such, just don't set your expectations too high, and you'll probably enjoy it. But overall, that's it for this particular pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.